Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
A lot to get to in this hour. I know there's always topics you want to talk about, but I'm going to leave with this topic here. And again, the NCAA continues to be an organization that with each passing hour loses more respect.
Uh-oh. What was it? What happened this time? What did they screw up this time?
Well, what was the old joke that Jerry Tarkanian had? Jerry Tarkanian always said the NCAA is so mad and angry with Kentucky basketball, they put Wichita State on probation. Okay? Right? And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? Fordham. Fordham has been punished by the NCAA, Fordham basketball.
Keith Ergo.
Good friend, yeah. And by the way, the definition of a good man. I've known him for 10 years. Good man. So what egregious violations did Fordham commit to show cause penalties and so forth? The charges, and by the way, Fordham self-reported this, they offered 8 prospects impermissible benefits.
What were the benefits?
Now, remember, Rodney Rice just left Maryland to go to USC for about $3.5 million. Included photo shoots in New York, including Times Square, taking them to the USC. Right? They were punished for voiding team wins records spanning the past 2 seasons when ineligible players participated in those games. They did this with 24 potential recruits. They were also punished with a 3-year probation, a $35,000 fine, plus 2% of the men's basketball team budget, a 2-year show cause order for Keith, and a 3-year show cause for Trevon Morton, among other punishments. You are allowed, under archaic NCAA rules, and they are archaic.
Yes.
An entertainment allowance of $75.
Okay.
$75? They say that the total spending on all this, photo shoot, Times Square, Giants game, I think there was a Nets game, jet ski rentals.
Nets game is going to cost you about $2.
It was actually Knicks game.
Oh.
Jet ski rentals, tickets to a Knicks game, tickets to the U.S. Open Tennis Championship, sweet tickets to the Giants. The total spending on all of this. Remember, Rodney Rice just got $3.5 million to transfer from Maryland to USC to play basketball. The total spending for the 24 prospects was $10,736.
So what you're saying, Steve, is $10,000 gets you a penalty, but 3.5
gets you a basketball player.
Okay.
This is, the overages range from as little as $35 to $5,595. As Keith said, he said they were treating me like a criminal, like I'd broken some laws. He said they were trying to pin a level 1 violation on us, and none of it made sense. We were all confused, including the lawyers, in this situation, confused as to why they were being so aggressive and trying to do whatever they could to bury us. Because remember, Dick and I talked with Keith down in Daytona.
Yeah.
All right.
This is
This is a disgrace. Okay? This is a disgrace. Okay? Again, they're so mad at Kentucky basketball, they put Wichita State on probation. Mm-hmm. What the heck are you doing here? What are you doing? This makes no sense at all. It's Fordham.
Fordham's a huge threat, Steve. Huge threat to the NCAA.
You go all out to do something like this over this?
What's a bigger issue, Steve? The $10,000 here, or the however many thousands and millions Madden Yamaleava got when he went to UCLA, left for Arkansas, got his NIL, 4 months later went back to UCLA.
Right.
What's worse?
Right. This is a disgrace. That they decided to go out, right? Instead of slap on the wrist saying, hey, guys, you know what? You shouldn't have done this. You're going to lose a scholarship. Okay. Your roster limit's going to be 14, not 15.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's nothing in a world where big something is going on in the millions. But we did a jet ski rental? Really?
I cannot imagine the number of violations that are happening in the millions of dollar ranges, as we've discussed, where players are being talked to, probably. I don't know this for a fact, but one's got to assume if it happened back 20 years ago, it's probably happening again, to transfer schools and get quite a lot of chunk of change, and they do, while they're under contract with a different school, and that's not what they're worried about.
I can assure you in no uncertain terms that the guy that was punished, Keith Urgo, is a much better person than the jackasses that went after his program with sledgehammers instead of going in there with a ruler.
They took sledgehammers to try and solve a rock, paper, scissors tournament. That's what they tried to do.
They went in with sledgehammers because it was a program that doesn't have the means to fight back.
Nope.
They have no means to fight back. None.
How dare you promise a photo shoot in Times Square, Steve? How dare you?
Kansas, Arizona are two programs that were investigated by the FBI. There's certain three-letter things you don't want to deal with. IRS, FBI, CIA. You really don't want to deal with any of them. And Bill Self got a lifetime contract out of it. Lifetime deal.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't begrudge him getting a lifetime deal. Not in the least. I'm just saying the FBI, okay, we've talked about Will Wade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all that stuff Will Wade was talking about is not illegal.
Mm-hmm.
$75 a day? We exceeded the $75 a day entertainment allowance? And it's a level 2 violation? What group of massive jerks is running this thing?
Sometimes
this is something, okay, just so you know, this is something, obviously, I knew about it.
Yeah, but now it's out.
Okay, now it's out. Because it's not as if Keith did not take some time to say, boy, I'm really dealing with some junk down here.
Mm-hmm.
And Dick and I are like, oh, ew. We're like, what? Over that? What? The two of us were like, what?
The fact that they're in trouble for taking possible athletes to Times Square because they're in New York City.
Of course you're going to Times Square. See, the overage was not that they were in Times Square. It was how much it cost the photographer to be there. Well, gee whiz, do you think the rates for the photographer are a bit higher in Manhattan than they are, I don't know, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa? What are we doing here? You've got problems left and right. You won't solve real problems. The NCAA will not solve real problems, but they'll do this. They'll take the little guy and they'll baseball bat him because we're the big, powerful NCAA. You're just little old Fordham, and we're just going to go out and we're just going to rake you over the coals, as opposed to sitting there and solving problems. Let's talk about what problems they can solve. Number one, there should be one transfer portal a year. Okay, so again, let me get. I'm going to preface it with this: I can't stand listening to people who tell you what the problem is and never offer a solution. I'm going to make a speech. I hate this, and this. Well, what's the solution? Tell me. Now I'm going to listen to you. So let's talk about solutions. Okay, we're going to talk about the problem and the solution. Okay, one, should be one transfer portal a year for both football and men's basketball.
Football should open up after
it should
after
be
January 19th, I believe.
Nope.
Oh, same timeline.
Nope. May 1 to May 15.
Okay.
Okay. The reason it should be May 1 to May 15, you should have your roster in place all the way through the season, which also keeps them in the academic world for the academic year, which means they have to keep themselves academically eligible, which means they have to be earning degrees, but taking steps toward getting, because they're earning credits. So May 1 to May 15. All right? Open it up. Transfer portal. Fine. Okay? That's one. Okay? None of this, we're going to open up the men's basketball transfer portal on March 24th. Wait, the NCAA tournament's still going on.
Yeah.
The football one in December is just massively insane.
Yeah.
Okay?
Your portals should not be open in the middle of things happening.
Exactly. Right? That's one. Okay? May 1 to May 15, got one, that's it. Here's your chance. You don't like it here, or you may, in some cases, you've been told to go, but spring practice is now over. Okay? You now have a period of time because training camp for football doesn't start till August 1. Basketball camps don't start until June 12th in terms of summer workouts.
Yeah.
Okay? You've got time. Okay? May 1, May 15, one transfer portal, that's it, done. Semester's over, spring games are over, basketball seasons are over. Guys have entered the draft, they're going through pre-draft work, the whole thing, whatever. Okay? That's one. Two, okay, starting with the new scholarships, you should have 5 years to take care of life. No sixth year, no appeals, anything like that. You've got 5 years. Right? And by the way, if you play every game in the 5 years, you can play every game in the 5 years. None of this red shirting, mixed matching, whatever. Right? You got 5 years. Okay? That's next. All right. Now let's get to, they've got the clearinghouse. Okay, we'll see how that works out. That's just a lawsuit screaming to happen, but at least it's an interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting take. I'll take a wait and see attitude on that. Okay. The judge is correct that everything should be that all walk-ons should be grandfathered. Because what's going to happen is, let's just say you have 120 players. There's a good chance you've got 6 walk-ons that are seniors this year, which means then next year you'll be allowed to carry 114. And there's probably 6 seniors in that group, maybe 7 now. You're down to 107 now. I'm only 2 above. And then eventually I get to 105. Yeah. Right? I mean, that should be done. The NCAA should be encouraging that. Walk-ons don't cost you much of anything. Training table, believe me, there's more than enough left on the buffet for everybody. Okay, you got a locker. They don't cost you anything on the plane. Charters are done by the mile. Okay? And everybody pairs up on the road. And because they pair up on the road, you needed the room anyway. And you could only travel in the Big 1074 to begin with. Yeah. Okay? And some of those would be walk-ons. They don't cost you, quote, anything. They don't cost programs anything along the way. That is a step that needs to be taken. And you've got to be able to get control of what's going on and accept what's going on. Accept what's going on. They won't accept it. The NCAA still wants power. They want power. The bottom line is they don't have power.
Nope. None.
They don't. Now, how the NIL situations are being handled and so forth, that's where the clearinghouse comes in. We'll see how that plays out. Okay. But you have to come up with solutions, and the solutions do not include the NCAA except for their ability to run championships, which they are very good at. Okay? Again, I'm not going to criticize a group unless I have the ability to praise the group, too. They're very good at running championships. But you've got to be able to sit there and come up with these ideas and these archaic rules. Right? You can only, let's see, bowl gifts can't exceed $590. Who came up with that random number? It's a random number.
It is.
Right? Look. Naturally, Penn State would have the ability to spend more on recruiting than Fordham would. You'd think.
Fair.
Right? They'd have the ability to do it. But you see stuff like this and you say, you people are all wrong. Rodney Rice just left legally. Legally went into the portal, legally got a new NIL deal because the NIL deals are exponentially higher between now and July 1 because
you got to spend it now.
Because it's the Wild West. There's no clearinghouse.
It's the same thing as when the NBA had its 2016 summer, I believe, when all the contracts got inflated and everyone for like Timofey Mozgov got $20 million. It's that. It's the one window where you can just spend.
And here's the bottom line. You want to solve problems? Collectively bargain them. Enough's enough. You want to get control over the sport. Okay? And if the NCAA wants to have power in this, they need to be the one that suggests, you know what? If there's a union out there we can collectively bargain with that's going to represent all the players, we would like to talk with them.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
Say we want there to be a union, and the search begins to find who those people are going to be. I know, like the NFL Players Association, I think president or co-president, like Dominique Foxworth, someone like that, where they played the game, they understand it. You know who would be great for this? Reggie Bush.
Well, isn't there's a group that is trying to be the organization for the players that has spoken out. Now, whether that
happens or not,
I can't remember what the name of the group happens to be.
Well, regardless, we're sitting at a May 1 to May 15 transfer portal for football and basketball.
Right.
Of course, other sports.
And any sport. Any sport. Make it May 1 to 15 for every sport. It makes everybody complete classes and keep their eligibility going, which then keeps them on track toward a degree.
And we'll add in the caveat of your season extends beyond that. It starts after the season ends. So like baseball has the tournament goes through June. So then it starts.
Now, this 5-year thing is being floated around. I'm all for it. It's just when does it start? Notice the basketball transfer portal right now. What have you noticed the last couple of days?
It's a lot.
Because the basketball transfer portal, by the way, closed at midnight last night, so it's closed. What did you notice the last couple of days?
What have I noticed, Steve?
Players whose eligibility are up put their name in the transfer portal. Ian Shefflin, Clemson. Juju Reese, Maryland, people like that.
Boogie
Why?
Fland, I believe, did. Arkansas.
Why? Because they're hoping either for a lawsuit or they're hoping that if the 5-year thing is adopted, they can get an extra year. That's why they put their names in. Right? It's, the last couple of days, you're like, Juju Reese is done, isn't he? Ian Shefflin's done. So you have to sit there and do a little bit of research as to why their names are in. Like, okay. Because they have nothing to lose by being in it.
No.
Right? They may have something to gain, such as an extra year. Also in basketball, you need to be allowed to schedule 1 through 31, which means I'm talking about in the Big Ten, scheduling 1 through 11 in your non-con. Instead of having it be a 28-game season, oh, by the way, you get to go to an exempt tournament. Because you go to an exempt tournament, you get 3 extra games. Well, everybody plays in an exempt tournament. Just change the rule to 31 games, for goodness sakes. And if you want to schedule all 11 of your games right in the non-con at home, that's your business, Syracuse basketball. And so,
don't rope us into this.
How many road non-conference games you guys play? And I'm not being a jerk here. I'm being serious. Usually the power schools play, except for the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, except for the tournament, they usually play all their games at home. So in other words, like it may be like 11. Let's see, Syracuse would. I guess they play 20 in the ACC.
I'm pulling up the
most
recent season.
But I'm talking. The most recent season is not going to help. Pull up like 18-19 season for Syracuse.
That was my freshman year at Syracuse. That was a fun team. Skipping past the exhibition games.
Right.
We've got...
How many games weren't in the Carrier? Because look, if they're going to play in the Carrier Dome, they're going to get some coin.
Yeah.
They're going to get 20 to 30,000 people. They're going to make money. It's a smart move to make. Okay, so let me put it this way. I am not criticizing Syracuse.
Before ACC play, all games bar the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They played Ohio State in Columbus.
Yep, okay.
They played Connecticut, UConn, and Oregon in MSG in some sort of thing. So 3 games weren't played in the then-named Carrier Dome.
Okay. Right. So everything else was at home.
Everything else.
Right, but that's an economically smart move.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just no getting around it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this place. I can sell it out. People want to go play you there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to get a guaranteed check to go there. So I'm just saying that's the smart way to do it. Well, if you have 11 non-cons, because the ACC plays 20 just like the Big Ten does, and because of that, that's 11 non-cons. You should be able to schedule 11 non-cons any way you darn well please.
Yeah.
I mean, just do that. I mean, stop getting in the way. I mean, that's my biggest problem with the NCAA. Just get out of the way.
It's like they put up these roadblocks in the middle of a 3-lane highway, like in the middle lane. They're like, keep driving, but like, just know there's some roadblocks somewhere. Have fun finding them.
Because they're trying to keep themselves relevant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the biggest problems with people who have some power, and they see their power eroding.
Mm-hmm.
This happens all the time. Organizations that see their power eroding, okay, try to hang on to the last vestiges of power. And that's what the NCAA is doing here. Look, you've lost your power. Sit there. If you want to get yourself back into a power position, collectively bargain. And start with football and men's basketball, okay? Then collectively bargain with women's basketball. Okay? But you're going to have to come up with something unless there's an all-encompassing athlete group that you can talk to that takes care of every sport possible. That way you can have unified rules across the board as the transfer portals, contracts. Look, you're going to need contracts. Collectively bargain and have contracts. It's a 2-year deal. Well, guess what the 2-year deal includes? You would play in the bowl game. The 2-year deal would include you have to play in the Crown or the NIT. Right? Unless you declare for the draft. Okay? Okay? If you're not going to declare for the draft, you got to play in the bowl game. Can't opt out.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're not going to declare for the draft, okay, you can't sit there and tell me I'm not playing in the NIT or the Crown. Tough. Guess what? Now your contract is null and void. We're paying you money to play games. Okay? You can't do this unless you have a collective bargaining agreement. College sports is no longer amateur sports. Everybody has to understand that.
Someone asked me a couple days ago. They said, I was at a family function over the weekend, and they were talking about, like, what's this NIL stuff? And I was like, it is now at the point where instead of being student athletes, a lot of these people are considered athlete students in my eyes. It's flipped. The role is flipped. That all of a sudden, as you said, the amateurism is kind of gone at this point.
Sure.
And it is out the window. If you are the father of Madden Nico Yamaleava, he is sitting here getting his kids as much money as he can, or screwing one of them out of money, but trying to get as much money for his kids as possible. And he's not thinking about the education here. I can tell you that much. If you were, I don't think Madden would have gone from UCLA to Arkansas to UCLA again, and Nico would have been like, you know what, after 2 seasons, I'm going to leave Tennessee to go somewhere else.
I believe Madden Yamaleava got $200,000 to go to Arkansas.
Yep. And then took it and ran.
Yeah, and they want their money back.
Yep. And then a day later, then the Arkansas, one of the NIL groups announced that they are going to be putting like contract restrictions on it, essentially, of the like, you've got to play games here. You can't just leave.
Right.
Which is absurd that he signed, was good to go for UCLA in December. And then in January is like, I'm into the portal. I'm going to Arkansas. $200,000. Awesome. Cool. And everyone's like, that's ridiculous, but whatever. He's going to Arkansas. He's there. And then after a spring game, I'm in the transfer portal again. You can do that? Like, how are we at the point? And then he's a day later going back to UCLA.
That's right. Right. Well, essentially what happened with that situation is, remember, it looks like just your basic college football trade. Aguilar got traded to Tennessee in exchange for Iamaleava.
Joey Aguilar is going to Tennessee. He's going to be revered as a hero coming into that building.
It's like, you're okay. But I talked to Adam Rittenberg about this last week, and Adam Rittenberg says there's so many dominoes to this that are, he says, and look, that's one thing about the transfer portal, since we're on that topic for the moment, is that there's a domino effect to this because of the 105 number. If the 105 sticks, well, they can just go to FCS. Sure, it's true. You can. Okay, well, what about at FCS? We took 12 players in that played FBS. Well, what about the 12 players they're replacing? Where do they go? Division II? Oh. Well, when they go to Division II, they're replacing 12 players. What are they going to do? Go to Division III? How much room is that there at the inn? And these are things that over and over again that are not brought into account.
Never.
That's why the grandfathering part of it is so important in all of this. It allows it to naturally get to 105 instead of taking a pickaxe to it. And it's, but we're talking solutions here. We're talking about ideas that you may not agree with the idea. That's fine. We can debate it. Okay? You may have a better idea, or you may have an addendum or an addition to the idea that makes it better. But don't just sit there and go, I don't like it. Okay, what's your answer to it? There are too many people out there that tell you what they don't like and have no idea how to solve it. I don't listen to those people. I can't. Unless you can bring something to the table. Hey, what about this?
Acta non verba. Actions, not words.
Right? I mean, then what is your idea? Well, it's not that. Or let's go back to the way it was. It's not going to go back to the way it was.
It'll literally never be the way it was because it's impossible to get back to that point.
So on the show last night with James, I don't know if you listened to it or not.
I was listening to Brian Tripp's Sweet Melodies.
Huh?
I was listening to Brian Tripp's Sweet Melodies of Penn State baseball.
And what a great night, which we'll get to in a moment. Right? I told him about the speech I made. He was talking about the structure and NIL and so forth, and about what it means. And I said, I made a speech 3 weeks ago, and this, I'm talking about the group is maybe 250, 300, something like that. I mean, it's a decent-sized group. Yeah. And I said, how many of you in the room pine for the good old days when players stayed 4 years? And almost every hand in the room went up. And I said, Drew Shelton, Benga Ioane, Nick Dawkins, Drew Aller, Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton, Khalil Dinkins, okay? Denai Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, Zakee Wheatley. I said, because of NIL, you have your wish. James looked at me and goes, that's pretty good. The guy gave me a little fist bump, right? But that's you can make it now work to the benefit of the program. That's why we've talked about the importance of the 4 teams. So I'm just taking the 4 teams. I'm not going to take everybody all the way through all 12 teams in the playoffs. I can specifically zero in on the 4 teams that made it to the Final Four because it's just easier. What do they all have in common? They all have in common roster retention. Yes, there were certain significant transfers that each one had. Penn State had significant transfers that helped. A.J. Harris, significant transfer. Jalen Kimber was a significant transfer, right? Caleb Downs, a significant transfer. Will Howard, a significant transfer. But then when you go beyond the whining, moaning, and complaining, oh, Caleb Downs got $1.7 million. You want to know how much? Look at the rest of the roster.
Travion Henderson, Emeka Ibuka. You just go down the list from there.
Ibuka, Carnell Tate.
Tuimoloau.
Right? You know, you look at JTT, Sawyer, okay, the 2 linebackers, all right? Terrific. Denzel Burke, right? Igbignosin, who made the interception in the game here at Beaver Stadium. Who are these people? Ransom, right? The same story here. Yeah, I mean, you started the season with K.J. Winston. You got Jalen Reed. You know, they were able to, keep the linebackers. You know, Tony Rojas was back. I mean, Denai's been here the entire time, right? And Vanover had stayed. Keziah Izzard stayed. Right. Roster retention. I talked to the Notre Dame people, and they had been able to change some things because they had, as you know, Brian Kelly talked about these strict rules that they had in Notre Dame. And he felt that LSU would have a better chance. Well, okay, that's another story. But Notre Dame loosened up a bit. And that was, in talking to the Notre Dame people, the same story with them. Yes, they got a Riley Leonard, and they needed a quarterback. But the rest, that was a senior-heavy team because of roster retention money. Xavier Watts and guys like that.
Yeah.
Really good players. Roster retention. Now, that, to me, is the proper, and being selected. Because Penn State's still a developmental program. It's a developmental program.
Yeah.
Where, the idea is to have guys stay within and grow within the program. Everybody goes at their own pace. I'll give you an example of a guy. He's not going to start, but boy, he sure is better in the 3 years he's been here. This is his 3rd year. Alex Birchmeyer, for example. He's a surefire guy. I think Birch is going to start. They'll think, everybody slow down. Okay. Slow down. Then he doesn't start. In the 2nd year, he's a bust. No. I'll never forget the late Adam Gress. 4 years, really, really struggled here. I thought he struggled. Now, especially the first 3.5 years. Offensive tackle. And all of a sudden, like the middle of the 4th year, because he had redshirted a year, so middle of the 4th year, things started to fall into place. And then his last year here, he was terrific. And he ended up going to the NFL. Okay? In a world that lacks patience, he's another example. Now, unfortunately, he's since passed away. He's a terrific guy. Right? But it kicked in for him. It kicked in for him. Now, baseball last night.
Yes.
6,106 at Medler Field, Lebrano Park. And Penn State was playing 14th ranked West Virginia. Beat them 3-2 last night. I think Penn State's won 8 of its last 9.
They are cooking right now. And they, by the way,
it was a beautifully pitched game last night
Mason
by
Butash.
Penn State. Right, he went 4 2/3 last night. And it was just a terrific baseball game. And you're just so impressed with, I mean, Mike's done an incredible job with these guys. I mean, he's brought in the right guys, the right mix. You can really tell it's a team that is together. You can tell it is a team that has developed within its own realm a great culture. And they play that way. And they're a much better defensive team than they were a year ago. I mean, let's start with that. Doesn't mean they're a great, awesome, and incredible defensive team, but they are a better defensive team than they were a year ago, which they needed to be. And it's made a big difference with the pitching staff. And when they need to score a boatload of runs, they score a boatload of runs. But then they've been winning some games lately, like last night, 3-2. And the opening game against USC, by the way, which was a beautifully pitched game by both guys. By both guys. They're winning significant games right now.
They have a big challenge coming up this weekend. They head on out to LA. They have UCLA, the number 15 ranked team in the nation. By the way, not only was it an attendance record last night, it was also a dollar dog record. 12,112 hot dogs eaten, mostly by Jerry Valeri. But an incredible just night. The fans were there. People were out. It was a huge game.
I wouldn't have said that about Jerry.
I believe that. Well,
of course you should believe that. You've become the cruel one.
But I just would like it known it was almost exactly every person who attended. If attendance numbers, almost everyone ate 2 hot dogs.
Well,
is pretty much
I was talking to Katie Schumacher-Cawley last night, and Mike and her husband Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's a great dude, man. And I was talking to Katie and Mike last night, and the game was on TV, and the show was over. So I mean, the ability to go to because I would have gone to the game last night. Beautiful night for baseball. But with the draft on Thursday and practice today, James couldn't do the show on Thursday.
Yeah,
and I'll get to James travel in a moment. Tomorrow. And I said, and Mike looked at me and he says, "Geez, Steve," he says, dollar dogs. And then of course I was kidding him about the Will Ferrell Harry Carey. He says, "I want to eat a dozen." Harry, you can't eat 12 in one sitting. Right. And I said, I guess there's a way on an app where you can order them ahead of time. And if you go out to right field to where Burgertopia is, that's where you can pick them up. And Katie looks at me, she says, "Steve, there's an app?" I said, "I guess there is." I said, "Don't look at me. I haven't used it."
Regardless, incredible, amazing night of baseball.
But again, this is what I told Mike. I told Mike when they had some dollar dog nights last year, and I was talking to Mike about it, and I see Mike a lot during the course of the year. I would talk about Keith Ergo. Mike said, "That's good a guy, just a good man."
I ate barbecue ribs with him 2 days after he got announced as the coach.
Right,
great dude. Sat, chatted, and ate ribs. I mean, it's great.
Incredible hire. I mean, he's a great baseball coach. He's a better guy, and his family is just beautiful. And I said to Mike, he was saying to me, he says, "Yeah, I want the people to come out." I said, "I told my team. So I want them to come out because you're really good, not just because of dollar dogs, And he was trying to motivate his team. Hey, look, play better, And of course, this year they are. And I said, "Well, Mike," I said, "this is what the dollar dog promotion tells you, though. People are aching to go see baseball here. They love baseball." I said, "That's one." I said, "They're not just going out to the park for dollar dogs. It's the combination of, I can get a $1 hot dog. I can bring my family of 5. I can get 5, 6, 7 hot dogs for $7. Great, but I'm going to take it in a ball game." I said, in this area, love baseball. They love it.
Yeah.
I said, and that promotion that you're doing, is combining the two. I said, it tells you've got baseball fans here because they're not just going out to get dollar hot dogs. It's a combination of the two.
Yeah. You know what other news happened yesterday, Steve? The news announcement. You spent time with his coach last night, Guy Godowski. Aiden Fink is returning for next season here in Happy Valley. That was announced yesterday.
Right, that's big.
So he is
I asked him about Fink last night because he was one of the 10 nominees for the Hobie Baker Award, which has never happened at Penn State before. He also has a significant transfer coming in that he's not allowed to talk about, but it seems to be near and dear to his family's heart.
Is it me? Is it me? Am I transferring in? It's me. I knew it's me.
I don't think so. But that is, I referred to yesterday's show as Final Four night.
Mm-hmm. It was the best.
I said James Franklin, Final Four, college football playoff. Mm-hmm. Guy Godowski, Frozen Four, and then I said Katie Schumacher Colley, not only the Final Four, but completed the mission.
Yeah.
Right? And that is, that's what made it fun last night, talking to them. Mm-hmm. First of all, it's just three great people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting and I pointed this out at the end of the show last night. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't think people realize this, but when Katie's team won the national title, that was national championship 99. Mm-hmm. And when Cale won the national title with his team, that was national title number 100. That means Penn State's one of only 4 schools in the country that has 100 or more national titles. Mm-hmm. So, just try to add my little part in there.
Yeah. No, yeah. I get it. I got you.
Yeah. So, your team, Oklahoma City's doing well. I watched some of your Knicks-Pistons game the other night. That was
I don't want to talk about the Knicks. I don't want to.
Well, good. Let's do an entire segment then.
Yeah, on the Pistons.
What are you talking about? You act like they cheated.
No, you want to know something? I was sitting this morning and was scrolling social media while I was taking a quick break in the gym, and I saw something on an app, and it said the last time the Pistons won a playoff game was 2008.
Right.
And someone responded to that and said, I wasn't even alive back then. And I just thought to myself,
it was Tibbs.
I was just like, people weren't alive 17 years ago and they're on social media now. I was like, am I old? I'm 24. Am I old, Steve? That's what I had last night.
No.
This morning, whatever it was.
Well, if you're old, what am I?
In terms of the playoffs, the last night's games, the Pacers won 123-115.
They're just better than the Bucks.
They are better than the Bucks, and it is now reigniting the rumor of Giannis asking out because Giannis has put up some incredible numbers these 2 games, but it is Giannis against the world. Damian Lillard is not fully healthy. He had a deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder.
See, that's the problem. The problem is that he has to do everything. Mm-hmm. There's no more Chris Middleton.
Nope.
So he doesn't have
Kyle Kuzma.
But they don't have enough people around him to. Mm-hmm. And Lillard could maybe make a difference for them. But, I mean, look, it's Oklahoma City, for example, blew out Memphis. Oklahoma City's just that good.
When you say they won last night 118-99, when you mean blowout, you mean their 131-80 win. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah.
Which is, they a few years ago got beat by the Grizzlies when they were bad, Thunder, by like 50, 60. And people were like, oh, they thought about that. At one point, they were up 101-50. They doubled them up.
Right.
And then they just were like, you know what? We're not going to keep the gas going. And if you're wondering, oh, well, that means someone must have put up 100 points. Their top scorer was Aaron Wiggins, 21 points. Yeah. Their starting lineup, Chet had 19. Jalen Williams had 20. Hartenstein had 14. Shea had 15. Lou Dort had 12. Just everyone scored. Everyone was scoring. And it didn't matter. They were like, we're just going to put up a cool 131 on you, and you put up 80.
Yeah.
Just utter dominance. But elsewhere in the playoffs, when it comes to basketball, the games that happened last night, the Lakers got a win in a rock fight. They beat the Timberwolves 94-85. Lakers put up 13 points in the fourth quarter. It was a slugfest until the end. Luka Doncic put up 31, 12, and 9. And that wrapped up last night's games. Tonight's games, we've got Magic Celtics, 4 games.
I don't know if Tatum's playing tonight or not.
Well, the Magic have been such an up and down team. They were great at the start of the season. Then Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner both get hurt. All of a sudden, Jalen Suggs gets hurt. Right. Season's gone for them. Right. The Heat play the Cavs. The Cavs should breeze by this series. They were much better than the Heat. Ty Jerome put up 20 some odd points in the game,
Right.
and was making people remember he went to Virginia and won a championship.
Okay. The NBA with the play-in, which is a gimmick. They're leaning on gimmicks too much. There's a lot of. I watched 5 minutes of the Bulls and the Heat. 5 minutes.
That's 5 minutes too many.
Well, that's my point. Both teams are under 500. And to be honest with you, it looked like 2 under 500 teams playing a game.
Yeah.
But that was a play-in game. It was supposed to be significant. That's a joke. I mean, it's a joke.
The play-in game was,
they're doing so many gimmicks to try and draw whatever.
The issue for me is the play-in game. Its first few years was great because that first year LeBron was in the play-in game, and it's like, oh my gosh, the Lakers and LeBron. All of a sudden, they got their draw. It worked out immediately. Same thing with the in-season tournament. First year, LeBron in the finals. Like, they could not ask for anything better.
Right.
The problem is when you get a year where in the East, the teams that are in it, the Bulls, respectfully, stink. The Heat traded Jimmy Butler, stink. The Magic, who are in it, And then let's go to the West. Grizzlies and Warriors, both 48-win teams, both good teams. Okay, sure. You go to the next set of games. Kings and Mavericks. We'll discuss Nico Harrison in a minute. And then it's just... sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't work, it's bad. That's the problem. The floor is real low. Ceiling's high, floor is real low.
The in-season tournament, no interest in it. None. Okay? Playing games, no interest in it. Almost none. Really, virtually no interest in it. And we're seeing a lot of bad basketball. Now, finally, we get to, like, the Pistons and Knicks series. Right, is a good series.
Clippers versus Nuggets.
Clippers
Great
Nuggets,
series.
really good series. But again, you're not talking about 1 versus 8 here. Okay, now you're talking about
3 versus 6,
3
4
versus
versus
6, 4 versus 5. Okay, now you're like that's a reason why it's like you're seeing some legitimate good basketball. Just like in the NHL. I'll say this: Montreal gave Washington a heck of a game the other night. Ovechkin scored in overtime to win it. He appears to be, at the age of 102, a really good scorer.
I was 107, but
he's 39 years old, and he's playing beautifully.
He's playing like he was 27.
Right. Ottawa, Toronto went overtime last night, and Toronto finally won it. But as usual, the NHL, when it comes to the playoffs, delivers great drama because when you get to overtime, a couple things happen in overtime. One, the next goal wins it. And two, what else doesn't happen in overtime? There are no commercial breaks.
They just go and go and go.
There's no commercial break in there. Okay? In overtime. I don't think people realize that.
No.
Like, you're just watching continuous hockey, and it's great, right? The NBA has not had that kind of drama to this point. And Oklahoma City, which is a legitimately outstanding team, are taking apart a Memphis team that is...
a dumpster fire.
Yeah, but they're not in the same league as them. Now, as for Nico Harrison...
So... I'm gonna repeat the comments that he made. So during the exit interviews,
and by the way, just so everybody knows, one other NBA note: Ace Bailey did officially announce he declared for the draft. Before
so
they haven't until Saturday. By the way, okay.
Cooper Flag also declared.
He did that last week.
Thing.
Okay, Dylan Harper before the week's out will also declare. So
when it comes to Nico Harrison, because he hasn't had a bad year at all, Steve, by any means. He. Last week or so ago, did a small media roundtable where he had reporters that were barely allowed recording devices to ask him questions basically about anything. His first real comments in the month and a half since he traded Luka Doncic at midnight.
Right.
He then has his press conference to wrap up the season. The players do this, coaches do this, everyone does this. And he was asked the question of, like, did you know how important Luka was to the fan base? He said, I knew Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level. When you have 20,000 people chanting "Fire Nico," you feel it. And before you speak, I grew up in Connecticut. I went to Syracuse. I'm here in State College, Pennsylvania. I'm not a Mavericks fan. Never have been. Don't think I ever will be. Mm-hmm. And I could have told you unequivocally, they look at him like a god. I could have said that for you. Mm-hmm. And he, in Dallas, like, of all athletes in Dallas, he's the most popular. He was. Dak Prescott, not close to him. All these players, Luka is the most popular person in Dallas. And he was like, I didn't realize he was that popular.
Okay.
In what world?
Okay. Let's go back to the conversation we had about the Pirates with the, was it Surfside?
Yeah, Surfside.
Right, which, by the way, is very popular. Isn't it? This has nothing to do with Surfside. It just turned out it was their banner. And they covered up the Clemente sign. Mm-hmm. What did I say then? What's one of the more important things you need to do when you're running something?
You need to walk around.
I call it management by walking around. Mm-hmm. Okay? Don't just sit in the suite. Mm-hmm. Don't just don't be the cloistered individual. Don't be the person that nobody ever sees. Walk around. If they stop you and have some comments, engage them. Talk to them. Mm-hmm. Look around. Wow, there are a lot of 77 jerseys in this place. Mm-hmm. Wow. Fans, they love them. Okay, I see a couple of Nowitzki jerseys, one or two Kyrie jerseys, maybe a Derek Lively here and there, but there's 77 jerseys everywhere. Just by walking around and not putting yourself in a box where you're separated from your customer, because these are not just fans, these are not just tickets, these are your customers. Yeah. Okay? Just like Wegmans and Giant have customers. Mm-hmm. In sports, those people sitting in the seats, they are your customers. They are your gold. They are your platinum. Yes, you've got a TV contract. Yes, you've got a radio contract. Yes, you have all that. But guess what? The difference makers in the game are the people yelling and screaming and rooting for the people pro and con that they see out there, out on the floor, court, or field. And if you walk around, you could have had a sense just in 2 games what he means to the franchise. The problem you now have is this. He has made not such a little mistake. He made what everybody recognized in the moment, not 2020, not in hindsight, in the moment, a massive mistake. And now he is making he's already made the one massive mistake. He's now making the second one. I'm doubling down. You're doubling down on what? You're doubling down on what? Because he's not a great defender? Whoop-de-doo. Okay? Right? He's not considered to be in the same category in his prime of Arnold Schwarzenegger physically? Like, cut me a break. I mean, all you got to do is watch. Figure out. Does he make everybody on the team better? Oh, yes, he does. Is he all about himself? No, he's not. Right? Okay? Do the fans love him? Yeah. Guess what? That's the person you select. You select that person to build around. Right? That's the person you worry that will leave you in free agency. You worry that person will leave you in free agency. Thus, you're doing everything you can to make sure that they think, like Dirk Nowitzki, this was the cool place to play.
If you had asked me at the start of the season, what NBA athletes in their cities are the most loved, I would have put Luka second in the entire NBA behind one person, Steph Curry. The only person on that list who was higher in terms of his city loves that athlete that plays in that city.
Yeah.
Not LeBron, not KD, nobody. Steph and Luka, and they're on their own island because, as we discussed when this trade happened, the Dallas Mavericks had 21 seasons of Dirk Nowitzki, the most loved player in their franchise. And then his final season, they end up drafting a kid, also from Europe, who comes over and has the same swagger, same style, and becomes the mini version of Dirk Nowitzki.
They
and
made
the
final last year.
They make the final last year, and he becomes the heir to Dirk. And the city completely falls in love with him because just who he is as a person. He's charismatic. He's funny. He does weird, quirky things all the time. And he's just Luka. And like, yes, he comes in sometimes a little overweight. Jokic had the same problem and he won a championship. And someone in a story to ESPN gave the quote of, if Luka were fat and unhealthy, how did he lead them to the finals, the NBA finals?
Yeah.
How did he get them there? If he was fat and unhealthy and lazy and didn't care, they wouldn't have been there because he led them there. Just, do people not like, how deep in your bubble must you be to have not realized that Dallas loves Luka Doncic?
Right.
I am truly stunned. And he was like, oh, but we saw what this trade could do positively because we saw what happened in 2.5 quarters. Well, yeah, but the last 2.5 quarters, because Anthony Davis rushed back from an injury to go and save your sorry butt, and then he hurt himself, and then because the only guard you had, the only person who could handle the ball was Kyrie, and he was already playing too much and he's had injury issues, he gets hurt, and then the next guy falls because there's less and less, and all of a sudden everybody's hurt.
Right. And
then you're like heartbroken you got knocked out in the play-in tournament. We didn't have a chance anyway because
well, look,
I'm just
this is an individual who made a massive mistake.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, appeared to have done it even by his own admission as a lone wolf, like in secret. If I'm owning the team, I veto this. I don't understand why the owner didn't go, hey, no, we're not doing that. I'm not signing off on
Apparently,
this.
Patrick Dumont signed off on it and was good for it. And then the reporting in recent days is he was misinformed by Nico Harrison. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, you bought the team a year and a half ago. How do you not see the value of Luka?
Again, let's go back to the Pirates again. Mm-hmm. Remember when they did the caravan meeting?
Yeah.
Right? So Williams is sitting up there, the CEO, whatever his title is, vice president in charge of cleaning up messes. And Trevor Williams, I think is his name.
Trevor.
And who's not there? Bob Nutting, the owner. Who is the person they were directing all the questions at? I mean, Trevor Williams had to answer it, but they're all questions for Bob Nutting. Sit there. You own the team. You're not sacred. You're not sacred. Walk around the ballpark. You're not sacred. Okay? Okay, if you got to and by the way, if you have to have security go with you because there are going to be knuckleheads, I got that part, because there'll be knuckleheads along the way. You know, now I wouldn't do it like at the 7th inning stretch when they finally do cut off the beverage sales. But like before the game, walk around, engage with people, get a read for them. Okay, you're the owner of the team. Don't just sit in the box. Don't just sit in the box. You need to engage with your fans more than ever. With everything that's on TV all the time, you need more people coming. You've got to engage with them.
That's why I respect Steve Ballmer, especially.
Yeah, he sits at courtside.
He sits courtside, and he is there interacting with fans, talking with them. I know he no longer owns the team, but Mark Cuban did the same thing when he was the Mavs owner. He was courtside, sitting there, and talked. I don't know what it is in Dallas, but owners talking. But he talked a little bit more than I think was probably needed. But he engaged. He talked with people. And he explained his reasoning all the time. And he was open about it. He's like, this is why we're doing X, Y, Z. And at the end of the day, I respect that. Because he's owning what he's doing, but doing it publicly and not hiding from it.
Right.
And there are so many owners who just run from it and try and avoid and put all of the shtick and all the stuff that's going on gets tossed on the GM, who just has to sit there and deal with it. The fact that the Sacramento Kings are sitting here, they fired their GM, Monty McNair, because after a terrible season, at middle of it, they had to let go of their head coach, Mike Brown. They got rid of him. The reporting is Monty didn't want to fire Mike Brown, but the owners said, fire him. Who isn't there to talk if the Matt Kings?
Of course not. It's
the owner.
never it's okay. If you make the decision, sit in front of everybody and tell them about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how strange things are. Okay? These guys make these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yet, we're in a society where we expect the 19-year-old quarterback to go before the media after playing before 100,000 people and explain the mistakes they made. Okay? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the 55 to 60-year-old owner, fired, hired, traded, whatever, never has to meet with the media. What are you doing?
They traded Luka Doncic. And who was the person who got sent out there to talk to the media? You know who that person was? Out of any person in that organization? Kyrie Irving.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on Sports Talk with Steve Jones.